Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
और हर्ष क्या चल रहा है?
बढ़िया सर। क्या चल रहा है?
खाना वाना हो गया?
हाँ सर।
चलो।
आपका?
मेरा नहीं हुआ इसके बाद.
अच्छा।
If I eat, I'll feel sleepy, so I don't. Cool. I had given you one question, right? एक, I had asked you to read that Mortexa company वाला question. We'll be doing that. It's a M&A वाला question, but उसमें we don't have anything relating to exchange ratio और ऐसा कुछ complicated calculation नहीं है. This is a relatively मतलब the kind of question that we did last. It's quite similar to that one. ठीक है. Let's always go through the requirements first. Calculate the pre-acquisition value of equity for both Mortexa company and Yecon company and estimate the additional value that would be created by the proposed acquisition. Estimate the impact of acquisition on the wealth of both company shareholders, including the impact on earnings per share for Yecon company's majority shareholder. Advise Mortexa company board whether or not the acquisition is likely to be approved by both companies' shareholders. Explain the factors Lands Competition Authority is likely to consider if it investigates Mortexa company's acquisition of Econ. ठीक है. The following exhibits they contain Mortexa acquisition and takeover investigation. Mortexa company operates a nationwide chain of supermarkets in Lands, a country in southern Europe. Lands supermarket sector is highly competitive despite an increase of merger and acquisition activity over the last decade as rivals seek to maximize economies of scale. In response to a decline in Mortexa company's profitability, the directors are proposing their own acquisition and have identified a regional supermarket chain, Yecon Company, as a suitable target. Yecon Company is unlisted. Now, early discussions between both companies' boards indicate that Yecon Company's shareholders are expecting a minimum acquisition premium of 20% relative to the current market value. Yecon, so how much do they want? Whatever is the current market value, they want a premium of acquisition premium of 20% relative to the current market value. Econ company's majority shareholder targets EPS targets EPS and it is unlikely it would approve any acquisition which causes a decline in EPS. ठीक है. Econ company's majority shareholder is looking at EPS and if the acquisition leads to a decline in EPS, he will not be okay. ठीक है. Interesting condition है. Unlikely it would approve any acquisition which causes a decline in EPS. अभी तक ऐसा condition we had not seen. If you remember, the last question was like, इस company का shareholders also want a 20% premium. उस company का shareholder also wants a 20% premium, and we were able to prove, which is why shareholders of both the companies were okay to accept the proposal. ठीक है. Now, Mortexa Company's finance director is proposing a share for share offer to convince Econ Company's shareholders to effectively invest in the future of the combined company. The proposal is to exchange three Econ Company shares for two Mortexa Company shares. However, there has been a rumor that a rival is also interested in acquiring Econ. The following info is available. PAT, ordinary share capital. Mortexa company's share price is currently $8.22. Since both companies operate in the same industry, Mortexa company's chief executive officer the same price earnings ratio has asked you to assume the same PE ratio can be used to value Yecon company's equity. The acquisition will create annual post-tax cost synergies of 27 million based on the expectation that the combined company will be able to negotiate lower prices with its suppliers while also eliminating functional areas which are duplicated across the company. Mortexa company's CEO believes the company's post-acquisition price earnings ratio will increase by 10% if acquisition is approved. Then there is some information given about takeover. Competition Authority in lands is a government department responsible for promoting competition and restricting anti-competitive practices. As a general rule, the department investigates any takeover or acquisition which creates a combined company with a market share of at least 25%. Mortexa company's post-acquisition market share is predicted to exceed this threshold, but at 26% only, very slightly. तो ये जो पार्ट है ना, it relates to this factors which it is likely to consider. तो ये 7 मार्क्स का थियोरी पार्ट है. लेट्स फोकस ऑन द न्यूमेरिकल पार्ट फर्स्ट. Pre-acquisition value of equity for both Mortexa company and Yacon company, and estimate the additional value that would be created by proposed acquisition. I believe that information is to be found here. ठीक है. You have to calculate pre-acquisition value and then post-acquisition value. Mortexa company, if you observe, क्या दिया है आपको? Current share price is 8.22. Mortexa company has ordinary share capital of 800 million, face value $1. So can we calculate the pre-acquisition value of Mortexa company? This is share price currently, right? अभी share price कितना है? 8.22 million है, and that is before the acquisition takes place. Part A. Calculation of pre-acquisition value. Mortexa company. ठीक है. For this, what we'll do is number of shares into price per share. ये कैसे होगा? 800 million is the share capital divided by 1 into 8.22. Correct? Tell me कितना आता है?
6576.
6576 million. ठीक है, ये एक हो गया. अभी this information is available. This is market value of the company. What else did we want? Pre-acquisition value of Mortexa हो गया. अभी Econ company का how will we calculate? Look at the data. What have they told us? ठीक है. Mortexa company's finance director is proposing a share for share offer to convince. This is the share exchange ratio. Both companies operate in the same industry. Mortexa company's CEO has asked you to assume the same price earnings ratio can be used to value Yacon company's equity. So same price earnings ratio means whatever is the price earnings ratio of Mortexa company, same will be the price earnings ratio of Yacon company. ठीक है. So PE ratio of Mortexa कितना आएगा? Usually what is PE ratio? PE ratio is price per share divided by earnings per share, right? Price per share divided by earnings per share. Now, if you don't have price per share and earnings per share, can you make do with PE ratio of Mortexa? Numerator is price per share के जगह can we write market value of company? Or let me put it this way. ठीक है. Price per share into number of shares divided by EPS into number of shares. Makes sense? I multiplied numerator and denominator both by the same quantity, which is number of shares. ठीक है. So in this place, can I write down numerator में instead of price per share into number of shares, can I write down market value of company? Number of shares into market price per share will give me market value of company. EPS, what is EPS? Earnings available for equity shareholders divided by number of shares into number of shares. Will this not be total earnings of the company? Everyone, do you agree? It's one.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Ab PE ratio of Mortexa. Do we have market value? Yes, we do. 6576 divided by 548. बताना तो कितना है?
12.
Exact 12.
Yes, sir.
12. PE ratio is 12. Now we have been told दूसरा कंपनी कौन सा है? येकॉन कंपनी. We are to assume that PE ratio of Mortexa company or other PE ratio of Yecon company is the same as Mortexa company. ठीक है. PE ratio of Yecon is the same as PE ratio of Mortexa. So that means PE ratio of Yecon is also 12. So market value of Yecon, can we say that is equal to total earnings into PE ratio? See, PE ratio is market value into market value divided by total earnings. So market value is PE ratio into total earnings. Correct? So market value of Yecon, check करो तो total earnings कितना है? 135 into 12. Tell me, how much is this number?
1620.
1620. We have solved one part of the puzzle, right? पूरा का पूरा problem has not been solved, but one part of the puzzle has been solved. This is one and this is one. ठीक है. क्या पूछा था? Pre-acquisition value of both Mortexa and Yecon and the additional value that would be created post-acquisition. ठीक है. अब what information is given to you for post acquisition? Acquisition will create annual post tax cost synergy of 27 million based on the expectation that the combined company will be able to negotiate lower prices. So profit of Mortexa, profit of Yecon plus the synergy, है ना? So calculation of post acquisition value. So total earnings of combined company. This is earnings of Mortexa plus earnings of Yecon plus synergy, which is basically your cost savings. Oh, sorry. What are the earnings of Mortexa? 548. What are the earnings of this? 135 plus 27. Tell me, how much is this? Seher?
710.
Is everyone getting 710?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what next? कुछ तो पी रेशो वगैरह दिया होगा ना. हाँ. मोर्टेक्सा कंपनी सीईओ believes that company's post acquisition PE ratio will increase by 10% if acquisition is approved. Post acquisition PE ratio is pre-acquisition 12 into plus 10%, which will be कितना? 13.2, right? 12
Yes,
plus
sir.
10% of that.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the value of the combined entity? Is it not 710 into 13.2? Tell me, how much is that?
723.2.
What? 700.
972.
Sorry. I added it. Sorry, my bad.
Very.
9372.
बहुत ही अच्छे हर्ष.
Sorry, sir.
हाँ, फिर एग्जाम में बोलना सॉरी. क्या रील चला रहा है ना साइड में? सच सच बता.
No, sir.
पक्का?
हाँ, sir.
आज तो क्योंकि कैमरा भी बंद करके बैठा है,
नहीं नहीं,
मुझे लगा
नहीं नहीं सर, कैलकुलेटर है।
कैलकुलेटर है। ओके, so this is the post acquisition value. What do you want? Additional value that would be created due to proposed acquisition. ठीक है, so additional value created post acquisition कितना है? Value of combined entity 9372 minus value of individual entity 6576 minus कितना? 1620. ठीक है, टेल मी हाउ मच इज द एडिशनल वैल्यू क्रिएटेड बिकॉज ऑफ द एक्विजिशन?
1176।
1176. ओके, हो गया फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. ओके, estimate the impact of acquisition on wealth of both companies shareholders including the impact on earnings per share for Yacon company's majority shareholder. ये सेकंड पार्ट थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है. ठीक है, शेयर होल्डर वेल्थ कैसे निकलेगा? फॉर दैट ना देर इज समथिंग गिवन अबाउट द टर्म्स ऑफ एक्विजिशन. Mortexa Company's finance director is proposing a share for share offer to convince Yacon Company's shareholders to effectively invest in the future of the combined company. The proposal is to exchange 3 Yacon Company shares for 2 Mortexa Company shares. ठीक है, there has been a rumor that the rival is also interested. Now, who is acquiring whom? First of all, tell me.
Mortexa is acquiring Yacon.
Okay, so part B, acquiring company Mortexa and target company Yacon. ठीक है, अब व्हाट आर द टर्म्स ऑफ एक्विजिशन? क्या है टर्म्स ऑफ एक्विजिशन? 3 Yacon shares for 2 Mortexa shares. So if you acquire 3 shares of Yacon, you will issue 2 shares of Mortexa in exchange. So acquire 3 shares of Yacon, issue 2 shares of Mortexa in exchange. ठीक है, ये हो गया टर्म्स ऑफ एक्विजिशन. नाउ अब कैसे करेंगे? हाउ मेनी शेयर्स वर अक्वायर्ड? 450 million इज द ऑर्डिनरी शेयर कैपिटल. फेस वैल्यू इज 1. ठीक है, अब व्हाट इज नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स अक्वायर्ड? ये हो जाएगा 450 million डिवाइडेड बाय $1, है ना? इतना 450 शेयर्स वर अक्वायर्ड. For every 3 shares acquired, 2 shares are issued. So, shares issued in exchange 450 into 2 by 3. You know what I prefer doing? मतलब मैं SBR में तो हमेशा यही करता हूँ. If you remember, I always write issue acquired, issued, acquire 3, issue 2, acquire 450, issue 300. Make sense? SBR में तो भाई consolidation questions, this is my go-to step. अब what happens now? What is the total number of Mortexa companies issued shares? अब Mortexa company already had 800 million shares, है ना? And it issued 300 million more. So after share issue as a part of acquisition, what is the number of shares? It is 800 already existing plus 300 issued during acquisition. कितना हो जाएगा? 1100 हो जाएगा. ओके, देन व्हाट नेक्स्ट? ये तो नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स वाला पार्ट हो गया। ठीक है। नाउ पोस्ट एक्विजिशन, अब एक बात समझो, व्हाट इज टोटल वैल्यू ऑफ कंबाइंड कंपनी? We calculated that here, right? 9372 is the total value of combined company. Okay, now total shares in combined company 1100. Shares held by original Mortexa shareholders. ठीक है, shares held by original Mortexa shareholders 800. Now total wealth is, or total company value is 9372. Total shares are 1100. Shares held by original Mortexa shareholders is 800. So company value attributed to original Mortexa shareholders. ठीक है, अब इससे क्या होगा? इससे थोड़ा और क्लैरिटी आएगा अपने लाइफ में। 9372 into 800 upon 1100. Is that about right? What do you guys think? Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Any value attributed to original Mortexa shareholders. ठीक है, अब आई एम गोइंग टू राइट द सेम थिंग हियर, और अदर नीचे लिखता हूं इसको। टोटल शेयर्स इन कंबाइंड कंपनी 1100, शेयर्स हेल्ड बाय, और रादर शेयर्स इशूड टू येकॉन शेयर होल्डर्स, कितना? 300. सो कंप और वैल्यू attributed to येकॉन शेयर होल्डर्स कितना हो जाएगा? विल इट नॉट बी 9372 इंटू 300 बाई 1100? 2556. पे अटेंशन, दिस इज 9372 इंटू 800 बाय 1100। यहां पे 9372 इंटू 300 बाय 1100। ओके, नाउ estimate the impact of acquisition on the wealth of both the company's shareholders. ठीक है, this is company value attributable to original shareholders. ठीक है, वैल्यू प्री एक्विजिशन, तभी समझेगा ना वेल्थ कितने से इंक्रीज हुआ। वैल्यू प्री एक्विजिशन ऑफ मोर्टेक्सा इज 6576, एंड यहां पे वैल्यू प्री एक्विजिशन इज हाउ मच? 1620, है ना? आर यू विथ मी?
Yes, sir.
सो
Yes, sir.
इंक्रीज इन वेल्थ, pre-acquisition minus post-acquisition. So the post-acquisition minus pre-acquisition. Post-acquisition 2556 minus pre-acquisition 1620. सेम चीज यहां पे लिखो, पोस्ट एक्विजिशन 6816, प्री एक्विजिशन 6576. What is percentage increase in wealth? 240 divided by original, इसको मिला 3.65। ठीक है, एंड इसको कितना मिला? परसेंटेज इंक्रीज इन वेल्थ, इंक्रीज इन वेल्थ डिवाइडेड बाय वैल्यू प्री एक्विजिशन। कुछ ज्यादा ही नहीं मिला? इनको तो मजा आ गया, दीज गाइज आर क्राइंग विथ 3.65। करेक्ट? एक बार देख लो कैलकुलेशंस, ऑब्जर्व व्हाट वी हैव डन। दिस इज अ क्लीन क्वेश्चन, नो ड्रामा, कुछ इधर उधर मिक्सचर नहीं, कुछ मल्टीपल टॉपिक्स कंबाइंड नहीं, बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है। ठीक है, देखो एक बार। ठीक है, बट वी आर स्टिल नॉट डन। व्हाट इज लेफ्ट? Impact on earnings per share for Yecon companies majority shareholder. You will have to calculate pre-acquisition EPS and post-acquisition EPS. Correct? कैसे निकालेंगे प्री एक्विजिशन ईपीएस? तो चलो इट्स इजी, 135/450 impact on EPS, प्री एक्विजिशन EPS कितना होगा? PAT divided by number of equity shares, which is 135/450. यहाँ पे आई एम राइटिंग 135/450, 135/450, 0.3। अब पोस्ट एक्विजिशन ईपीएस कैसे निकलेगा? ऑब्जर्व दिस, पोस्ट एक्विजिशन ईपीएस कितना है? पोस्ट एक्विजिशन प्रॉफिट, पोस्ट एक्विजिशन प्रॉफिट इज 710। कहाँ पे निकाला था ना हमने, कहीं? हाँ, 710। एंड व्हाट इज द नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स? 1100 इज द नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स। यहाँ पे करो 700/1100,
710, sir.
sorry, 710, 710/1100. This is impact on EPS. Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
When I started reading the question, I thought कुछ बहुत complicated calculation होगा, but as it turns out, it is a very easy calculation. यहाँ पे they have said that calculated for the majority shareholder, but सबके लिए EPS is the same ना। ऐसा नहीं है कि because I am a majority shareholder तो मेरा EPS ज्यादा है, and you are a minority shareholder तो your EPS is less. That's not how it works, है ना? ओके, चलो। Advise Mortexa company's board whether or not the acquisition is likely to be approved by both companies' shareholders. Now, Yecon company's shareholders expected an acquisition premium of 20%. Correct? Do you think they are getting that? Very
Yes, sir.
clearly. They are getting that. बहुत ज़्यादा मिल रहा है. I think they will be very happy. What is the expectation of Mortexa company's shareholders? What is their expectation? Now, कुछ कुछ भी लिखा है इनके बारे में?
No, sir.
Nothing specifically. But don't you think they are getting the cheap end of the bargain? They are not really getting anything significant, right? Which means there is some problem here, and the terms of the offer might need to be revised. Okay, Yecon company's shareholders may raise their expectations about acquisition premium. Why? Because there is another rival who is planning to acquire, so they might act pricey. Yecon company's shareholders will be happy, but Mortexa company's shareholders might not be happy because there they are getting hardly anything. See, it depends to a large extent on the chief executive's assumption about pre and post acquisition EPS, and the fact that he is saying कि post acquisition EPS will be more by 10%. So यहाँ पे बहुत सारे ifs and buts है, but still somewhere the problem is कि यार for Mortexa company, which is the acquiring company, this seems like, the unfair end of the bargain. This seems कि यार ये कुछ इनको मजा नहीं आएगा in this particular acquisition because it doesn't really add up, right? What they are doing is completely unnecessary and they are getting a very small part of the overall this thing ना बहुत कम मिल रहा है उनको. So they might not accept it and they might want to revise the terms of the offer, and shareholders of Mortexa, sorry, shareholders of Yecon, because there is a rumor that your competitor is offering, they might want to act pricey, but it doesn't seem like it will go down well with Mortexa company's shareholders. Plus, the acquisition of, the achievement of this depends upon the actual achievement of all the numbers and targets, which also seems, like a very far-fetched idea right now. कि वो 10% increase होगा and it is subject to all of these assumptions. चलो एक बार go through this. ठीक है. Okay. One last part now. Explain the factors Lands Competition Authority is likely to consider if it investigates Mortexa's acquisition of Yecon. ठीक है. This part we had read and then we said, अरे this has got nothing to do with the numerical, so we left it. एक बार ये पढ़ो तो. Read this para. बताओ. What are the factors that should be considered in this case? See, uh, this is a very tricky situation. है ना? According to the scenario, efficiency gains are predicted on the basis that combined company will be able to negotiate better terms and lower cost from suppliers, while they will also get cost savings and all of that because certain shared services वो भी एक cost saving होगा and those factors. There is an argument that these gains could benefit the consumer by being passed on in the form of lower prices. अभी जैसे you must have seen the government made certain changes to the GST law. So consequently, those benefits have been passed on to us. I had gone to buy a kurta, उसपे कुछ I got a price reduction because the GST benefit was being passed on to me. Another significant benefit from increased investment is that, investment in new technology, which will allow Mortexa to compete more effectively with online supermarkets while also improving service quality. This investment should also provide a source of earnings growth and, competition authority. And you could tell that to the competition authority, which is like, here you could create more jobs in the future. That is a possibility. And the size of the investment is not known to you right now, but at least you can tell that more investment means more jobs are going to be created. But ये जो 25-26% वाला इशू है, that can be a spoil sport, है ना, कि the main supermarket chains may not be represented in small, मतलब वो थोड़ा सा ही ज्यादा है ना. 25 is the limit and this is 26, and that is creating all the problems for the that is creating all, it could be a roadblock in achieving that merger. So the competition commission in that country might disallow the merger because of this 25% threshold, even if it is just exceeding slightly. So maybe, in this case, you will have to have some sort of a discussion, and maybe they could make an exception in this case. So all of these possibilities will have to be discussed. See, the competition commission has a concern ki if these two companies come together, they start increasing their market share. Ultimately, that will end up being, मतलब they will not pass on the cost saving to customer, या फिर एक monopoly type situation can get created in the economy, and that is something which they don't necessarily want. उनको वो नहीं चाहिए, which is why the competition commission of that country has raised all these concerns. See, if it is not found in public interest, then the competition commission is not going to allow that. That is clear as day. So just see, they have not asked you कि यार तुम इस पे judgment दो. All they have asked you is कि analyze the situation and tell us कि what are the points that the competition commission will consider. Now, a question like this, it doesn't have a perfect answer. Always remember कि यार this is not a question which has a perfect answer, which is why for such type of theory questions I always tell the students कि पीछे का आंसर पढ़ो. Read the answer given at the back, read it 2 times, 3 times, read it properly and write it down. देख देख के also it's okay. Read every single line and type it out. देख देख के type out करो. What that will help you with is, it will help you understand what are these specific terms that these examiners love. Don't give yourself the pressure कि यार ये ऐसे का ऐसा it should come and I should be able to recreate it exactly like that. That is not going to happen. That is not the expectation. In fact, if you do that, uh, I think AFM में तो नहीं होता है, but in theory papers ना, they often मतलब nullify your exam, or all of these issues start happening. So don't worry too much about that. Just make sure that you are capturing the essence of the answer. That's all. I have pasted that answer. एक बार go through कर लो. Sheet will be added in the drive link. ठीक है? Cool. So perfect, then we'll stop here. Thank you so much.